Joining us right now, a very, very special guest, someone that is having to hear and listen to this evidence in court. Joining us tonight is Shelley Stewart. She is the grandma of Trey Zwicker, who is the very young 14-year-old victim. Mrs. Stewart, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm glad to tell everybody what kind of kid my grandson was.
Well, we want to know about Trey because we heard your daughter, Amanda, and I was so struck with your daughter, Amanda's testimony in that Trey was the quiet one, that he was the good guy, that he cared about people. Tell us more about the grandson that I know you helped raise.
Trey was a very immature 14-year-old. He hadn't even gotten into girls yet. He was still playing with video games and skateboards and things like that. He loved taking care of his little sister and stuff. He was still, a little bit less than 14, as most 14-year-olds are today.
Was he aggressive in nature? Would he be someone that would have provoked an attack? Did he talk back to people? I mean, immaturity can breed certain emotions and reactions in a kid.
No, he was a very well-behaved child. Actually, the last conversation I had with him, he was wanting to join the Marine Corps so he would be able to take care of his little sister because he knew the situation his mom was in, and he was afraid he'd be the one to end up raising his little sister. So he knew what he wanted out of life. It's just he didn't have a chance to have a life. And that spot on his back, that is a footprint.
It is. I was right.
It is a footprint. It's where they held him down on the ground. And his little face was pushed so much into the dirt and mud that his face print was in the mud. You could see his nose, his cheekbones, and everything in the mud, along with all the blood and everything. We had to look at his face print in that mud.
Oh, Miss Stewart, that's
how bad they beat him.
That is so chilling. I listened, I watched to your daughter's Amanda's testimony. I found her very, very credible on the stand, extremely credible. Have you talked to her since she testified? Was she nervous?
Yes,
Is she relieved? How is she?
Amanda's always been a very cold and distant person. Even when she was a child, she never had very much emotion, and she showed that on the stand that she wasn't very emotional, I thought. Like my grandson, I just want to get sick. Like today, seeing all those pictures, which I had already seen them before, and it upset me terribly bad. But it didn't seem to very much upset her, as it should have, I think. But she is my kid, so she's always been heck on wheels since she was 14.
All right.
And Josh Gouker has been in our life since he was 13.
Since 13, you have known Joshua Gouker.
And I have fought to get rid of him ever since he was 13. He has been no good his whole entire life.
When you look at Joshua Young, who now stands trial, what Amanda said in regard to Joshua Young, that around the neighborhood nobody liked him, he always talked back, he was the type to just try to make fun of people. Do you feel like that history is repeating itself, that what Joshua Gouker's reputation was around the community was then Joshua Young's reputation around the community?
Big Josh was trying to create his own little army of teenagers. So Big Josh can influence weak-minded people. He loves to control weak-minded people. He had all the bad kids in the neighborhood starting to hang out with him. And if he can control you, that is what he's all about. And his son had lost his mother, and all he had was his father, and he had been in foster home. So I think he would have done whatever his daddy wanted him to do for that approval.